Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do an update on this situation with daytime talk shows. Drew Barrymore putting her people back to work and getting in trouble with the WGA. And now she's been fired as the host of the National Book Awards. They loved her. They loved her when she stepped down from the MTV Awards, and now they fired her because how very dare she, even though she's well within her rights.
She's not violating union.
She's not violating union stuff at all. No.
It doesn't matter because they say it's a problem. You have to do what they say because they said so. Because it'd be a real shame if you can never join the union ever in case you want to later if you don't go along with what they want.
Yeah, and I think the WGA even said that her show was not violating as long as she didn't have WGA writers on staff. More talk shows are joining Drew Barrymore, but of course it's Drew Barrymore. She's a big name, she's a big target, and yeah, she's out the door.
Again, I want to point out that The View has been doing theirs for a while, and they literally had two writers, WGA people, and they just did it without them.
So let's talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. You get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So it's funny how this works in Hollywood. They love you until they don't. They love Drew Barrymore when she was kneeling before Dylan Mulvaney. Was that the thing? And
I thought you were gonna say Zod, but okay.
Kneeling, but yeah. So anyway, they loved her then. They loved her when she stepped down from the MTV Music Awards as a host because of the strikes. But God forbid she go back to filming her show, even though she's well within her rights as a WGA member to do that.
What gets me is the National Book Awards. Okay, so there's a lot of writers who aren't part of the Screenwriters Guild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you can't do it now. So, and it ranks up there with the threats we get from like the SAG-AFTRA and the WGA that it'd be a real shame if these influencers and other writers and other people out there ever want to join our guild and you can't. We're going to blackmail you by saying that you won't be able to do that if you don't do what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, it's ridiculous. They're probably getting pressure too, the Book Awards.
I'm sure they did. I'm just saying, you know.
How can you honor writers or say that you honor writers and have that bitch scab? And they are calling her scabs. There actually are Hollywood people that are posting on social media. They're literally calling her a scab.
Meanwhile, how many fucking actors got special agreements to go film at other studios that weren't studios that were independent because they said they weren't part of the union, the issue with the union, so they were allowed to do that, which they said was the same thing with Drew Barrymore. Her contract allowed it to continue.
Yes.
It wasn't one of the ones that would have been an issue, hence being allowed to start again. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's well within. They even said that her show is not struck. Daytime talk and soap operas and some other stuff that they're excluded from this.
How about those shitty scabs that tried to come to her show with the WGA pins and cross the picket line to go to her show?
Yeah, and they just happened
to kicked out.
We didn't know anything about the strikes, but we just decided we were going to stay here and picket.
They crossed the picket line.
The picket line.
I found absolutely hilarious. Anyway,
see the other video. So this is what the Book Awards said. Our commitment is to ensure that the focus of the awards remains on celebrating writers and books, and we're grateful to Ms. Barrymore and her team for their understanding in this situation. She's probably like, well, you do what you got to do, but what the hell?
Well, they probably were told, like we see with conventions, well, you better not let her do this now, or it's going to be a bad look for you. It's going to be a real shame if we all punish you.
I could just see some librarian walking home alone. It'd be like a scene out of Ghostbusters, and somebody just like grabs her and pulls her back alley. And she's like, ah! It's like, you better not have that scab host your thing. How can you be serious about having writers representing writers and you got your scabby.
To be fair, I would argue that some of these awards give awards to people who can actually write.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So most of WGA doesn't know anything about that.
That is true. We're talking about real books versus like shitty Netflix shows.
The writers, the people like on Wednesday who were so shit that the actress wouldn't change stuff and made it like the character would have been, and then people loved it, but they were like having a meltdown about how dare she change it. And then Tim Burton wants to use her later for other things because she did such a great job with that. She saved it. And
Jenna Ortega,
the writers want to do it their way. Well, their way was bullshit.
Well, that's the thing. They're probably like, wait a second. We got Jenna Ortega just writing her own dialogue for
because she did it because she said what they were giving her wouldn't be Wednesday. And if it was true, what they were saying was what they had given her, she's correct.
Yeah, and Tim Tim Burton's working with her again. Tim Burton's probably like,
she was such a
she gets
bitch.
it.
But I'm just like, again, writers wanted to change things. We're the writers now. We can just make our own season, do it our way, a narrative. And then the shows fail. And of course, it's everybody else's fault, never theirs. But they're like, people come in and like, no, that's not going to work. How dare you?
Doesn't that show how arrogant, though? Because that whole blowout with Jenna Ortega and the writers on Wednesday, that happened right before they went on strike, right? Mm-hmm. So doesn't that just show the entitled attitude that they actually were trying to dress her down publicly when the showrunner, Tim Burton, was like, no, actually, she gets it. I wonder if Tim Burton was like, why did I get saddled with 10 of these idiots?
I don't know.
Because he usually...
A lot of showrunners apparently are complaining about that.
Yeah. Like, why do I work with all these people? Because that's what the union says.
At this point in time, it just seems to be like the WGA is going out of their way to make everybody hate them.
Yeah.
They get a deal that sounds pretty damn good, except for the writers' room mandates, which since day one we have said, and they're like, it's a bunch of terrible people. We have agreed with you on every issue you presented, except for the writers' room mandates, because a shrinking industry cannot afford more writers when they're canceling shows and cutting down the number. That's just basic mathematics and economics, doesn't work. So we agreed with you on everything. But since then, you have gone out of your way to make people hate you. Showing up at Halloween Horror Nights and Universal Studios Hollywood and harassing guests. We want to make them aware of our cause. It's Hollywood. They fucking know your cause. Okay?
Yeah.
They know. They're aware. Okay? They're doing that. They're going around harassing Drew Barrymore because she did something within her contract to do it. I don't think she's a type that would have done it if it would have violated things. She stepped down from other award shows because she thought it wasn't okay to do that. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Drew Barrymore. I think sometimes she goes too far the other way. But I think that she would have looked into it first.
Yeah. I mean, look, her family is... they're 100% Hollywood. It's in her DNA, right? They would have she would have absolutely known this was probably going to happen. She's probably like, I wouldn't care personally, but I'd be like, I'd weigh both sides of it and be like, it's keeping my people working.
She's the type that would care though.
I think she would. I think she'd be like, I got to keep my people working as long as I, stay in the guidelines or whatever.
According to SAG-AFTRA, she checked to make sure she was.
Yeah, and the WGA is like, well, she had struck right, or there were WGA writers, but they're not working on the show now currently.
Right, but even then, The View was actually literally stepped over writers while they were in production. So I'm like, this is bullshit. And like the writers are out there, they just keep causing, like it's not enough. We turned down the thing. You're demanding more money. It's not enough. You guys are out there like, oh well, you going to these book awards, and I'm sure that's what you did.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you? Trying to cause trouble. It's like the conventions all over again. How dare you have Vic Mignogna there?
So this is the AV Club. This is their take on it. To be clear, and it's not just her. There are lots of other shows that are coming back now. The Talk. And of course, she said The View, right?
The View has been doing it, I guess.
Yeah. She said that she is in compliance with the strike rules by not discussing or promoting film or television.
Right. Well, she promised she wouldn't. Yes.
Yeah. She said, to be clear, she'll be doing this is me doing their AV Club tone. But to be clear, she'll be doing that without union writers, despite the fact that her show is covered by the WGA, meaning anyone who writes for the Drew Barrymore show is a scab, and anyone who improvises an interview question or monologue joke in lieu of using a writer is also a scab, because they're replacing work that should be done by union writers. But sure, bring us together, Drew. Barrymore has been getting rightfully roasted for it. I think people are done with this shit.
They're not doing themselves any favors, and people are losing their homes that aren't part of the union because you guys will not settle the fucking deal.
So let me get this straight.
You will not negotiate at all.
So let me get straight. I go on to Drew Barrymore. Not that I would ever go on to Drew Barrymore. She would never invite me, or I'm not famous enough to go on. But if I would go on and I would crack a joke, and I came up with that joke myself, does that mean that I put a writer out of work? And if we're talking about things that have nothing to do with promoting a movie, like we're talking about dogs, and I make a joke about my fat dog and my Nazi dog.
You have to explain why you call your dog a Nazi dog.
Okay, so not to be.
I don't.
No, so Count Dankula got canceled because his pug was doing a Hitler
salute. We don't do that.
No. We joked that our one beagle mix we got that he was going to be evil, and we got him because we're like, we have a really, really good boy with Sir Charles Toasty
Butternut's Pendragon the third Esquire,
and that dog he's an angel pup, and we're like, well, we're going to wind up getting a devil puppy. He's going to be like freaking Nazi dog or something. We're making a joke like, watch this dog not be. I love this dog. but he's not a good boy. But I love this dog. So if I make a joke about like angel dog and devil dog, and it's my joke, and we're not talking about movies, we're just talking about dogs, because she seems like a dog person, right? She likes dogs. And then that's putting the writer out of work. That's kind of stupid. That's why they want influencers out of the way, because we come up with our own shit.
Well, you're scab. Every time we talk about a movie, we're scabs. Yeah. It would be a shame if you never could join the union again. It'd be a shame that you're trying to blackmail people into compliance.
Well, they're pissed off because the AV Club, they struck Gizmodo. That's who owns them, and they were trying to get, They're
just mad because a lot of them want to be writers and they want to work on Hollywood scripts, and they're afraid they don't, kiss their ass. They won't get that opportunity.
Yeah. So just one more thing before we wrap it up with the WGA. We did a video the other day talking about how a lot of the showrunners are getting fed up. They tried to take a meeting with the WGA last week, and they're basically like, you guys are getting so much of what you asked for. Can we just stop it?
That's just it. If they weren't, I would be like, yeah, okay, But they're getting like almost everything except for the one point, which we said from day one was not going to fly.
Yeah.
And that's you cannot tell people they have to hire a set number of people in the writer's room when they're cutting movies and shows and everything else.
So now they're going to try for this Friday, I guess, to put this to bed. And they said the showrunners are pissed, declared a high-level studio exec speaking with the Wrap. They're mad at the guilds and feel that they are not responding to the studio's offer. Now, even the higher-paid members of the guild are expressing concern over the inability to end the strike. And
they're not higher paid. What about the people that are losing their houses?
Yeah.
And what about all the people that aren't part of this strike that work in Hollywood that are losing their houses because these people won't, it's called a negotiation for a reason. You don't get 100% of what you ask for. That's how it works.
They said that. They said there had been some concern within the industry that the guild leadership was less concerned about making a deal and more inclined to hold the line to get its first ask. And that's not how negotiating works. Again,
and they got almost everything they wanted, except for one thing we told them they were never going to get.
And these showrunners are like, okay, now you guys are being, and the other article, they're like, you guys are being ridiculous. There was talk that some of them are so pissed off, the showrunners, that they're just going to leave the union completely and be like, we're going to go FICOR just so we can resume production, and the hell with them. Because like
you're not helping yourself. You're just pissing everyone off. And the Actors Union is going on too, and the Actors Union has issues too, but you don't hear anywhere near as amount of shit out of the Actors Guild as you're hearing out of the Writers Guild.
No, because the writers, I think they had similar concerns, but the difference is like the Actors Guild, you're not seeing them being like, well, we got to make sure we have at least 30 people on every production, even if it's just, we're talking about a couple characters in a bunker and that's what the whole show's about or whatever, or they're in an office. No, we got to have at least 30 people from every different level of diversity to make sure we've got...
Even though they're not on camera.
Even though they're not on camera, they have to sit there on the sidelines, a bunch of bench warmers. And that's what's going on here is basically you want the studios to pay for a bunch of bench warmers. Some of these people get sidelined deliberately, I think, because they were assigned to the program. They're not bringing anything to the program. In fact, letting them write anything might make it worse. So you just go like, hey, go fetch me some coffee, Joe, for $11,000 to $14,000 a week. Just like the world's highest paid intern,
I know. But,
they're like,
but you have to have him there because you need 10 people. And
yeah,
and he pays his dues.
He pays his dues, and that's at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. He pays his dues. So good luck with that. We're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.